Namaskar, respected Vice President Sri Venkaiah Naidu ji, and all the other dignitaries on the days and off the days. First of all, thank you very much for this opportunity to send a short message on Rare Disease Day. This has been a subject that's been very close to my heart when I was in ICMR in India and continues to hold a special place even now, because I'm sure that we all agree that in the 21st century, no one should suffer or die because adequate treatment is not available or accessible, and just because they suffer from a rare disease. A rare disease is defined as occurring in less than about 1 in 2,000 people, and therefore it's fairly neglected. There are over 6,000 diseases that are presently considered rare. So, overall, if you add them up, then the collective number is a sizable one. But each one by itself may affect only a smaller number of people. Most of these diseases are genetic. Some of them can be autoimmune, and many of them can be life threatening or cause chronic morbidity and problems throughout the life course. What is common in one geographical area could be rare in another population, and therefore we need to know much more about the epidemiology of rare diseases in every country. And the lack of scientific knowledge and the quality of information on these diseases results in a lack of understanding of their distribution, of the burden, and therefore delays diagnosis and, of course, then delays treatment. Lag or delay of treatment can result, of course, in a heavy cost to the patient in terms of financial but also social and health, because there are some of the rare diseases which, if diagnosed early, can actually be treated. And therefore, it's important to make an early diagnosis. The problem is further escalated by the reluctance or the lack of interest of big pharmaceutical companies to invest in research and development, especially for treatment, but also in some cases for diagnosis of these rare diseases, because very often there is not adequate cost recovery from the normal marketing channels without additional incentives. But this is where we need to change. This can be changed, it should be changed, and there have been initiatives like the Orphan Drug Initiative of the European Union and others of the FDA in the US that actually provides incentives to manufacturers and to pharma companies in terms of market protection, in terms of earlier, faster registration, some assistance fee, and designation of an orphan drug label. Orphan designation is granted at any stage of the drug development process, and in fact, this has led to the development of many new therapeutics for rare diseases. So these have actually served as incentives for treatment development. So developing countries and the BRICS countries like India and China and Brazil and others who are emerging as major pharmaceutical hubs and manufacturers need to take up this challenge, and we need to think about the government offering these kind of incentives and changing some of the policies we have in our regulatory system so that pharmaceutical industries are encouraged to take up the R&D for the needs of their own populations and beyond. So the commemoration of the Rare Disease Day is a way to mark our collective commitment across the world to ensure that progress continues to be made to provide access to medicines for patients and their families who suffer from these diseases, because without that, we are not truly going to achieve the goal of universal health coverage, which is an aim not only for the Sustainable Development Goals, but also now very much a focus of and vision of the World Health Organization. The WHO celebrates its 70th birthday this year, and it will also be 40 years since the signing of the Alma Ata Declaration on primary health care or health for all. And therefore, we are going to recommit ourselves this year to strengthening patient-centered primary health care towards a road to universal health coverage. And as we do that, certainly we should not forget people who have rare diseases. There are many advances now, scientific advances, particularly in genomics, in immunology, in the understanding of the molecular basis of these diseases, which will allow scientists to develop new treatments. But these treatments have to be made available at a cost and at the point where patients are present. Last year, the ICMR and the Ministry of Health jointly launched a registry for rare diseases, and we picked about 10 of the major, most important or most common rare diseases to establish the registries across the country so that we start getting an idea of the patient load and the burden and the clinical features and the type of disease and what happens. But this should really be followed up with policies that also bring treatments and make them accessible. And some states like Karnataka have actually developed a rare disease policy, and I know that the Ministry of Health has also developed a policy around rare diseases. It's the element of the R&D and the incentivization to industry as well as to startups and entrepreneurs to develop treatments and to be able to support them as we take it through all the stages of clinical testing, which will be very, very important. And thank you for giving me this opportunity to share a few of my thoughts. And certainly I will do my best in whatever capacity I can to help the community make advances in this field. Thank you very much. Namaskar.